and such. And anyway, this figure does have some flaws.
You will not talk about my flaws.
I will not talk about the flaws.
You will only talk about the good things.
I will only talk about this like it's the best figure ever.
You will put me pride and place at the center of your Marvel collection.
I will put this figure pride and place at the center of my Marvel collection.
And Captain Marvel is the best movie in the MCU.
And Captain Marvel is the best. Whoa, 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 wait the fuck on, Missy. You almost got away with it, but you got too cocky. There's only so much your powers can do, alright?
Ah, crap.
Cue the intro. Okay, first off the bat, let's have a quick look at the box. You can see it comes with a lovely shipper. I know some of you guys out there love a shipper. So you can see it's brown, got some corners, it's got bullethead BH003 up there. Now I think this is the third figure they've released. I'm not sure what the second one was. I thought the first one was Venom, but I'm not entirely sure of the numbers on these guys. But however, it's very nice. It's got some lovely corners. Not much else to it really. So let's pop it open, have a look inside and see what the box looks like. And here is the packaging, and it's very sort of psychedelic, and I wasn't expecting much from this box. It's exactly what I thought it would be, which is like a sort of a random quick, it's almost Guardian of the Galaxy, but it's just all sort of badly photoshopped. It looks like something you do in the first year of graphic design at college. It's just what it is. It says Hypnotist there, and it's got some bad sort of writing there. It talks about 1/6 scale figure, but you can barely read that anyway. It's just really bad. And then they've got the bullethead logo, but that again, that is sort of been cut and pasted on very sloppily. However, I think this is like graffiti there that says love. Don't know why that's on there, but it is. But that's all there is. And I think you got a little picture of the Hypnotist down there, aka Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And as we come around, we can see they've put a random quote from the film on there. One of the bits from the trailer, because I get a funny feeling they never actually watched the film. They probably just watched the trailer. It says, "You feel love. No, romantic sexual love." Because that's what you want on your box. You want to be reminded of sexual love. And then there's this weird random picture on the back. I think this is supposed to be Ego, maybe, but it doesn't look like Ego. It just looks like I don't know what it looks like. It looks like some bearded dude, some weird, Christ knows. But yeah, that's it. It's got bullethead there. It's got a warning up there. It's got made in China, and it's got bullethead, all rights reserved. Yeah, don't talk about rights, guys. You probably don't want to. And then on this side, we've got, when I touch someone, I can feel their feelings. Fucking honest. Well, that's a quote anyway. And there's the bottom and there's the top. And as we open it up, you get a foam insert. I always like a foam insert. It always feels a little bit more grown up to me. I don't know why, but you know, it's probably just a cheaper option, but I like the foam inserts. I think it's quite cool. And then you open it up and she's gone. Don't worry about it. And you get just the figure itself, and you get 3 extra hands. And that's all you get. Oh no, hang on. I lied. You pull this out. Whoops. And then you get a foam insert for the stand, and it's just one of the usual generic cheap stands. We'll talk about that when we get to the figure as well. And that's all she wrote. Okay, let's get the figure out and have a look at it. And here she is straight out of the packaging. And I could tell you now, this is actually quite a nice looking figure. I was quite surprised by the quality. There is a few niggling problems with it. Obviously, this is a unlicensed figure, and they do tend to sort of source different parts from different places and get different factories to make bits and bobs, and then, you know, it gets put all together at the end, and sometimes it doesn't come together as nicely as you would hope. I think that's where the difference between third-party figures and companies like Hot Toys are different, is they will keep going back to the companies and the factories and get things right and get them redoing things and checking things over, and it's best for these factories to get it all right in the first shot, otherwise they've got to go back and redo these things. Okay, let's move straight in and have a look at that head sculpt. Okay, looking straight onto this figure, you can see that they've done a reasonably nice job. I think it's quite close enough to the character that you can tell who it is. Yeah, I think so. And they've done a nice sort of pale skin that matches with the body. We can see that the lips are separate to the skin there. I'd say you can definitely tell this is Mantis, and you've got her psychic bits here. I don't know what you call them, the bedoingies or whatever the hell they are. But you've got her bedoingies there, and then you've got these sort of blue and black streaks going throughout this hair. And the hair is actually not too bad straight out of the box. It is still needs a little bit of futzing, and still needs some work done to it, but I think it's not actually that bad a job. Some of the parts sort of fell off as you take her out of the box. The hands and the head sort of fell off a little bit, so yeah, it's not great. But I actually think that this is a very, very nice head sculpt. You can come in and have a look at the eyes here. The eyebrows are done pretty well. They're a little bit faded, but it still works. And the eyes are nice and big. And they've actually gone in and put real eyelashes in there. And I think that works fantastically for this figure. You can turn to the side, you can see those eyelashes protruding out. Very nice. And I think the sculpt overall is very good. The one problem that I have with this head is that it doesn't really fit the body. It's a little bit undersized, and that's one of the problems you get when you mix these third-party head sculpts with something, say, like a TB League or a Phison. The Phisons tend to be a bit thicker and a bit bigger, and the third-party head sculpts tend to usually fit on the smaller stock bodies a lot better. But they've decided to go and upgrade this figure to a seamless body, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. But yeah, I've got no complaints with the head sculpt, if I'm honest. It works really well. I really like it. And I think you can definitely see Mantis in there. Okay, and coming down to the clothing, or this top area here, you can see that the actual clothing fits pretty nice, but I think it's a little bit loose fitting in certain parts. Like this top area here is a little bit loose and puffy, and I think that should sit down a little better and tighter to the skin. And these arm bits here can protrude a little bit, and it's a little bit loose. Now you can tell that because it's a third-party figure, what they've done is they've, you know, got somebody to make the costume, and they've just made it to sort of generically fit a body, not specifically this body. So the clothing is a little loose. And I'm going to say something now that you'll never ever hear me say ever again, and that is the tits are too big. These boobies stick out quite a lot, and Mantis is quite a slight framed figure. Turn it around, you can see she's quite redonkulous as well. But that's because of the stock body they used. It's a TB League. They tend to be quite curvaceous. You can see some sort of defined muscles in the arms there, which actually gives this a little bit of an extra detail that you wouldn't normally expect. And we come down to the arms, and the hands kind of fit on nicely, but they can pop off quite easily. I've had enough TB League bodies to know that a lot of stock hands don't really fit the figures or the bodies that well. You have to modify them and push them on, and then they can just fall off or pop off quite easily. So I think a bit more work could have gone into actually getting those hands working well. But you can see that these hands have some nice detail in them. They've got very simplistic, but they're still quite feminine. She's got slightly longish fingers, and these fingers sort of stick out a little bit, and you can bend them and move them around. Quite flexible. And because the fingers aren't just straight down on this hand, it makes it look like she's actually doing something weird and mystical with her hand, which is really good. And you can see that the forearm sleeves here, there's some nice detail there, just some nice diamond black and pleather. And all this stuff feels like a sort of plasticky pleather. But I don't know how long or how well that will last. But as you come across, she's got like the belt buckles here, very nice details. And you come around, and you can see she's got that sort of Mantis design going down the side of the suit here, and then going down into the legs and on the back there as well. And that looks super nice. It is a shame that the suit doesn't fit the body as well as I thought it should do, and haven't been able to go down and shrink the chest that well, because I think if they'd have been able to buy a slimmer body, they could have tightened up the clothing a little bit to fit on it better. But again, this isn't an expensive figure. This is sort of on the lower end of 6 scaling, so I can't really complain. We come down into the legs, and you can see that pattern runs all the way down the sides here, and it still feels like the whole trousers feel like a sort of very thin pleather, not too thick, which works really well. You want to be able to articulate her, and that seems to really help. And then we come down, you can see onto those boots, the same pattern is going down, but these boots are plastic. You can still get some range out of them, and there's still some ankle pivot, and the stitching is very well done. I don't really have any complaints about this, other than the crotch area sort of sags a little bit, See, we're going to have to try and futz this and try and get those trousers up a little bit more, but it's not too big a deal. Posing wise, because this is a seamless TB League body, or a TB League like body, I don't know exactly who made the body, but it seems like a TB League to me. It's got a nice silicone all the way around the outside of a metal endoskeleton, and inside it's got all these sort of points of articulation. Very nice. It can articulate very well, and I've managed to put her into a sort of a semi-mantis defensive pose that she sort of adopts in Infinity War. If you have a look at the scene where she and the Guardians of the Galaxy go to face Thanos, she's walking along and she's sort of creeping along and she's got her hands out like that, and it seems to work pretty nice. I think it was a nice little touch by Marvel to do that, and I think it works really well. And you can kind of get this pose out of it, although I've had to pop the hand off, but because she's got these little protective sleeves here, it stops the hand from falling off. But that's not actually in the socket at the moment. It's sort of popped off and then I've bent it down. But you can get that kind of pose out of her, and I think it looks pretty cool. But yeah, I think it works really well. The height is a bit off, because she's supposed to be quite a petite character, I think, and she's a little bit tall, but again, it's all because of the body. The chest is too large, the height is a bit too tall. This would have been better on a slightly smaller body, and I don't normally say that because I think they always undersize the females a lot in a lot of the third-party figures, but this time I think it would have worked really well. Okay, size comparison, you can see her next to Age of Ultron Black Widow and Scarlet Witch from Age of Ultron, and you can see, because I've got her in that crouch position, it works pretty well. But if she was to stand up straight, I think she'd tower over these two. And just to prove it, okay, and I've got her standing straight up now, and as you can see, even though the base is a little bit taller, she shouldn't tower over the other two like she is. So it's probably best to have her in a sort of more crouching sort of action pose, so you can bring her height down so she can match the rest of your Hot Toys. But other than that, it's a fairly nice figure. I mean, partly it feels a little bit like a really well done kit bash, but that's not a bad thing. I don't think Hot Toys will be releasing a Mantis anytime soon, and I really like the colour of the suit. This is why I chose this one over, say, the Super Duck one, which looked like it had a darker green, whereas I think this slightly lighter green makes the figure pop a little more, and those blue strands will make this, you know, a nice addition to the collection. It will bring out some more colours. When you've got them all together on a shelf, you'll be able to see that few figures stand out, and I think she will be one of the ones that will actually draw your eye. One of the things I have noticed though is, just with Bullethead as a company, they also released a Venom, and that used the same body as the Toys R Us Colossus 2.0. So whether they use the same factory or Toys R Us and Bullethead are closer together than we actually realise. But I think maybe because Toys R Us are focusing more on, I don't know, they seem to focus on X-Men and DC more. So I'll have a wonder if Bullethead has been generated to try and bring more Marvel characters. Venom is Marvel, Mantis is Marvel. I'm not sure what the other one is. I mean, they must have released 3, but I can't remember what it could have been. But yeah, all I can say is, if this is what they're going to do, bring it on. I'm more than happy to let them pick up the slack where Hot Toys are failing, and if they can produce this sort of level of quality going forward and improve on it, then I'm all for it. But as it is, it's a reasonably good release. Not amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a very solid Mantis figure, and I think it will work really well in your Marvel collection. I mean, at the start of the video, she nearly managed to convince me of certain things. I'm wondering if she could do me a favour. Let's see.
You will like the video. You will subscribe. Billy is the best YouTuber you've ever seen. Now get the fuck out of his cave.